In reading this morning's Observer, Monday, April 6th, 2020, I am now confused. Staff writer Kimon Francis of the Jamaica Observer wrote this article, and she stated only half of the story, but that's not why I'm confused. In her article, she states that the Marella Discovery 2, which made their historic call to Port Royal in January, stopped in Jamaican waters on Thursday to refuel, and there were approximately 45 Jamaicans on board. They requested, based on the captain's ability to do so, that the 45 Jamaicans be allowed to disembark, and they also agreed that they would automatically go into self-quarantine. This request went forth early in the morning, and they were advised that there would be a response. Now, when the response was not forthcoming, they went and made another request. Now, these are Jamaicans, and they are sitting in Jamaican waters, and they have sent a request through to the Jamaican government, and we assume that the response would be coming via the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, and or the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chan. I'm torn on several levels. I'm not even sure where to start, but let us start where it makes sense. When the ship was knowledgeable that they would be entering Jamaican waters, they made a request for refueling. Couldn't they have made that request at the same time to disembark the 45 crew members, considering that this is a crisis like none other, so that the appropriate responses could be secured? Note, they were not denied the ability to disembark, as the article further goes on to say that Cabinet had closed for the day, or maybe for the weekend. I will double check that article. But my issue for starters is that the request, yes, this article, let me just quote, they didn't respond. So at the time, the captain said he had to pull the plug. He had to leave. So that's when we left Jamaica about 4 p.m. on Friday. And this quote is a statement given by one of the crew members, Miss Daly, from South Manchester, aboard the vessel. It would have really been nice had the captain made the request prior to entering, but not taking sides. And my state of confusion surrounds several things. And it really is important to note that the Marella Discovery has been home porting in Montego Bay for years. This ship made her journey over from the UK in December to do her first sailing December 17th of 2019. I know this because I actively sell departures from Montego Bay, sailing on the Marella Discovery. Also, I had clients sailing from Montego Bay on the inaugural sailing December 14th, 2019. I listened to a report that was made concerning the Marella Discovery when she attempted to dock with her passengers who had sailed on December 10th. It sounded as though major arrangements had to be made for her to dock considering the outbreak and all of that. Yes, I understand to a point. However, my point of contention is and will also remain with the way the story was written, for starters, where Miss Francis focused on the fact that this same vessel made the inaugural call into Jamaica's historic Port Royal. Guys, this ship was home ported in Montego Bay. In other words, Jamaica rented this ship space. They had docking rights for an entire winter in Montego Bay. Why are the reporters and others that began treating the Marella Discovery as though it's a casual vessel that occasionally popped into Jamaican waters? Let me correct this. The Marella Discovery 2 home ports in Jamaica every single year. Now, I may not know anything about maritime law, but I do know that when you rent out your place, the smaddy who paying the rent deserve to occupy the premises. Now, that might sound very careless, but that's the closest way I can think of stating my annoyance, because I have watched the Marella Discovery 2 being treated as any other ship, and it's not. Now, to further my contention, my video that stated that we needed to help our Jamaican crew members on the Royal Caribbean ships floating out at sea to come home is different from this request. These people came to them yard. They were sitting on a cruise ship docked in Jamaica. Now, I'm not sure where they went for refueling, but we've got 5 ports. I would want to imagine they went to Montego Bay. The reporter did not state that, but that's fine. Irregardless of which of our 5 ports the Marella Discovery pulled into, there were 45 Jamaicans as reported by Miss Francis, and they stood on this ship looking on Jamaica, the land of their birth, and they could not come off that ship. I have a serious issue with this because they could have been physically taken off the ship in a sterile situation. They could have been taken to a location and they could have been state quarantined for 14 days. I go back to the point. This request could have been made earlier so that proper preparations could have been made for them. I totally agree and I totally understand. So we cannot put the blame squarely on one set of shoulders. We must share it. The captain knew he was coming to Jamaica. He knew at least a day before he got in. As a matter of fact, based on how I gather, the 48 hour window is one in which you must request docking rights as you enter Jamaican waters. So I would want to put it out there that for 48 hours prior to arriving on Thursday, Captain knew he was coming to Jamaica. Captain, why did you not make a request, a formal request of the Jamaican government, given the circumstances? Allow them to deliberate. Allow them to consider all the possibilities. Allow them to put some plans in place. I must argue this. I must. Because now our Jamaicans journeyed with the ship when she left Jamaican shores and saw where the ship went to the Dominican Republic with hundreds of cases. And up to when the ship was in Jamaica, we did not have 100 cases. We still don't, thank God. The ship arrived in the Dominican Republic, and their government granted their citizens the right to disembark and to come home. Our Jamaicans were moved to tears. Miss Daly, who made the comment, has been shocked to know that even though the Dominican Republic, with, I would want to assume, less resources, and we know the situation in Domrep, they knew that their people were on that ship, and home is home, and they took them in. Now, when our government did not respond and the captain turned away, that was it. Now, they are expected to disembark the vessel in Portugal, Lisboa perhaps. That has guaranteed, confirmed 1,100 cases, if my statement is correct. They have a lot of cases. And then, from Portugal, they will need to find their way home. And the correct statement from Miss Francis in the article is that they have not 1,100 cases, they have got 11,000 cases. It just feels weird. It makes me wonder if we are sending our people into a death trap. Europe is the heart, the epicenter at this particular point, where it has been reported that the deaths have grown astronomically. The aging population among Europe's southern countries, it's amazing. Italy leads the way. Spain, and I live there, the population, they live long. And Portugal, they're aging. They are the ones who live into the high 80s and 90s, if not beyond, with 11,000 cases. They will now be expected to disembark in this country and go through the rigors of being housed among persons who possibly are infected, and wait out the closure of our port or airports before going through the process of gaining access to Jamaica land we love. I admire a lot of things that the government has done as it relates to this situation. And because I feel so passionate about cruising, because the Marella Discovery has been one of our ships that we actively offer, and because I love Jamaica and Jamaicans, I would not want to take a hasty conclusion. So I now ask if somebody could clearly explain to me the blind spot, the area that I missed, the gray area, that would explain why persons would arrive, Jamaican nationals with Jamaican passports, exposed to a possibility of becoming caught up in this situation in a foreign country. Why were they denied the right to disembark the ship, be put in state quarantine for 14 days, and be allowed to remain home? This is my confusion. Please help me understand.